Kalani.
Jose Marti.
So, we started with you, Victoria. Do you think imperialism was a good thing for England?
Yes, because we helped the lesser people because we were blessed with the gifts of our country. And
What was your destiny?
to rule the world. And it helped us expand industries.
Empress Sushi, why were you so against the modernization of China?
Well, at first I was against the modernization of China because I was afraid of being removed from power. My nephew, Huang Shu, introduced measures to modernize China. He reformed the education system, realigned the government, modernized the military, and because the Qin officials and I felt threatened by these innovations, I reversed all of the reforms.
Okay. Kalani, how do you feel about imperialism?
I am strongly against imperialism because when the U.S. annexed Hawaii, I felt just really disrespected. They came in and they removed me from power, and they put me on house arrest, and it was just a very bad ordeal.
Yeah. Jose, what are your views on imperialism?
I also am very strongly against imperialism. When I was in Cuba, the imperialism allowed Spain to take over my country, and it just started a whole war, and I didn't think there was any good benefit of it.
Queen Victoria, how do you think social Darwinism affected those under your rule?
It just showed that since we were better, we could imperialize other countries.
Anything else? Empress, how do you think geopolitics affected China?
Geopolitics definitely had an effect on China because the other foreign nations came to China in order to trade and colonize. The wars with other nations, we often had wars with other nations, and the treaties that resulted from the conflict of the wars, they ended up gaining more of our power and land. They gained spheres of influence, and the United States, one of our trading partners, did not like this, and they were afraid that the other countries were going to colonize us, so they created the open door policy. The open door policy was purely beneficial to the United States, and China did not approve of this because we are at the mercy of foreign powers.
Queen Kalani, why were you so against the annexation of when the U.S. could help you modernize?
Well, I was all for modernizing in my own way. I wanted Hawaii to modernize in a way that would still preserve the culture and traditions of Hawaii for future generations. And U.S.'s view was that they wanted to modernize us, but in a way that I wasn't into.
How did you deal with imperialism in Cuba?
Well, I expressed my feelings in opposition for the lack of freedom and all the slavery and the imperialism in my writings. However, most of my writings are appreciated by the Spanish government.
Why do you think that is?
Because they were in charge and I was embracing the freedom of democracy, and they didn't like that.
Do you believe Westernization had an overall positive effect on the people under your rule?
Yes, because it allowed us to make mass-produced items, which allowed cheaper, more beneficial things to come out.
How do you think this affected the standard of living?
It went up significantly.
Why were you so against imperialism?
Well, I was against imperialism because before the foreigners came in, China was self-sufficient. Our strong economy was based on agriculture. The agriculture helped us work the land and feed our population. But when the other countries started coming in and forcing their trade upon us, we became dependent on them. The British came and forced opium upon us, and that caused an addiction. We tried to reason with them, but they would not listen, and that led towards war. We lost the war with them, and eventually they gained extraterritorial rights along with the other nations, and imperialism is not beneficial to China.
How well do you think Hawaii modernized before the annexation?
I thought Hawaii modernized enough for reforms in education and other things that needed to be reformed, but we still preserved the rich tradition and culture that Hawaii needs to be successful.
What were some things that you did in order to free Cuba from Spanish rule?
Well, other than my expression of my feelings in my writing, I also labored for freedom in Puerto Rico also. And when I was in New York, after I was exiled, I formed the Cuban Revolutionary Party.
Okay. What form of rule of the land and people that you were in control of did you find benefited Britain the most?
I believe the constitutional monarchy was the best form of government because it made me have an influence over the people, but also there was a parliament, so I wasn't the only one who had a say in the government.
Do you think allowing your empire to modernize during the age of imperialism helped it or hindered it?
Not modernizing in China eventually hindered it because we were not prepared to compete with the other countries, and we often take advantage of that. So in order to compete with the other countries and to protect ourselves, China eventually had to come to the realization that we had to modernize.
All right, well, thank you guys for coming. And great. Hi, I'm back with Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna, here to talk about imperialism.
Actually, it's Antonio de Padua Maria Severino Coper de Santa Anna y Perez de Leblon. Try saying that 3 times fast.
Okay, well, let's start with talking about your fight for freedom from Spain. Do you believe Mexico was able to westernize easier under Spanish rule or as a free country?
As a free country, because I was the leader of Mexico, obviously, because I'm raw. And then, yeah, I know what's best for my country. Pretty much. That's about it.
Right. Do you believe that fighting against all threats to Mexico helped to mix cultures or built barriers between them?
It probably built barriers between them because, I mean, the rich and the poor, I mean, they probably didn't get along too well because, I mean, the poor didn't like the rich didn't want the poor to have the advantages of what they had, so that's about it, so, yeah.
Tell me a little more about the struggles between the rich and the poor.
Well, the rich wanted to have a more say in the government, and the poor, of course, wanted to have their voice heard, but who cares about them? They have no money. So, what?
Okay.
It's the truth.
Yes. Okay, why did you consider Mexico to be not ready for democracy?
They were not ready for democracy because, yeah, they weren't ready for democracy because, as a dictatorship, I was able to, you know, I didn't have to step on as many toes. I could just pretty much do what I wanted, which was best for my country always. You know, country number one. So yeah, that was why.
Did you keep their interests in mind when making decisions, or did you just kind of go with your
Well,
ideas?
I mean, maybe I did spoil myself a little bit. I mean, hey, I'm king, I'm dictator, I can do what I want. I mean, who's going to stop me? Yeah, I put some of my needs first, but that's about it.
And your people didn't need a say?
No, because I knew it was best for you.
Okay, what do you think caused your people to revolt against you after previously appointing you president for life?
Well, they were probably tired of all the battles that I was causing. I mean, I did like to fight a lot. I mean, I gave up my presidency a few times so I could lead the army back into battle. But they started to side with Benito Juarez a little bit after I lost. So they kicked me out and accepted him.
Did you go through any financial problems with the country, or was it just solely battles?
The country probably suffered a little bit from all the battles because, I mean, they had to pay for all the weapons, probably inflation and stuff like that. You know?
What were your intentions when you moved back into Mexico in 1867, when you again made the attempt to gain ascendancy in Mexico?
Well, my intentions were to, you know, rebuild the country, make it better, and so I could be in charge. And, you know, that's pretty much it. I mean, just make the country better. Always moving on.
How do you think you became so successful in winning battles? What helped you?
In winning battles, it was probably because the battles were smaller compared to European and American battles. Say George Washington or Napoleon of the East. I would call the Napoleon of the West because I have more battles than both of them put together. So no big deal. I mean, just kind of wrong.
Okay. What are your views on imperialism?
I do not like imperialism at all because Spain tried to imperialize Mexico, but then I fought them away, and that's what led to my presidency.
Do you think that Spain could have helped Mexico to become more modernized?
No, because I mean we didn't need to pass anything through them anymore. You know, we had our own say, and we did what we wanted as a free country.
Okay. What was your role in the Spanish-American War?
Oh, the Spanish-American War. That's where I lost my leg. Well, my role in the Spanish-American War was, well, I led my men again. I left the presidency, and I was a general and pretty much led a bunch of battles.
Okay. So you consider yourself to be Napoleon of the West? Could you tell me a little more about that?
Well, that is because I had so many battles and I was such a great fighter, and like Napoleon himself, who was very victorious. So, but I had more battles than him, as I said earlier, and so I just decided to call myself Napoleon of the West, kind of a catchy name.
How do you think social Darwinism played a role in your success over Spain?
I think social Darwinism was just a reason for European powers to make an excuse for themselves to try to take over my country and try to imperialize us.
All right. Well, I think that just about wraps us up. Thank you for talking to me. Thank you for your time.
No problem.
We'll see you next time.